Welcome to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. I'm your host, Marie, a courage coach, creative soul, and adventure seeker. Since through hiking the Pacific Crest Trail in 2019, I'm on a mission to help you embrace your most confident self so you can achieve your dreams too. If you're eager for deep conversations, big questions, and meaningful connections, join me on the quest to discovering how we can create a more magical and memorable life. Hello, nerds! How are you? I'm good. Today, we are talking about 3 ways to stay focused on an idea that excites you. I want to talk about this because many of you tell me about how frustrating it is that you get an idea. Actually, most of you are multi-passionate, creative nerds who get lots of ideas and feel really enthusiastic about them in the beginning, but then you eventually lose steam and can't bring yourself to finish the project, or if you do, it's through a lot of force. And that sucks. First, because we want to have a good time, and because we want to finish what we start and feel proud, feel like we can trust ourselves, feel like we know that if we start something, we can get to the end without giving up. And because it feels really satisfying to see our progress, to see ourselves growing. And I'm not going to give you the typical kind of advice that we hear a lot. We hear a lot about how, and it's not bad advice, it's good, how you need to be really clear about what your goal is, how you're going to get there. So be clear about what all the little small steps are. Break it down into small steps. We hear that all the time. And we also hear about the why. Being clear about your reasons, about how your project should be meaningful to you. Otherwise, you are for sure going to lose your motivation. So that's the what, how, why. But I want to go a little further than that and explore some different territory. All right, so I have 3 ways for you to stay focused on an idea that excites you. We're going to go through the 3 ways, and then I'm going to wrap it up, summarize, and let you jump back into your week. So, number one is to simplify the hell out of your life. You have to know what's the one thing you're working on. Not the 3 things you're working on, the one thing you're working on. If you have a hard time finishing a project, it means you have too much on your plate probably. Be really clear about what's the one thing you're working on this quarter, this week, and today. If you need this to be hammered into your brain, read the book The One Thing by Gary Keller. It's not very well written, but it gets its message across. I know you have so many ideas and you want to do it all at the same time, but it's just not possible. You can also read the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Okay, he draws this amazing little graphic of your energy, your time, your energy, and your money. All goes in different directions. Okay, picture a circle with like 8 or 9 little arrows around it. That's all of the avenues in which you pour time, energy, and money. All of the arrows are like 1 centimeter long. But what if you decided to focus on only one thing? Then you could take all of these little 1 centimeter arrows, put them together, and you would have so much more energy, so much more time, so much more money for that one thing. I know it's scary to simplify. That's why you don't do it. You love so many things. You're interested in so many things. And the thing is, that's fine. You can play around with all of those things, just not all at once. Okay, you're going to finish a project so much faster if you're focusing on this one only. And then when you finish, you can explore something else. Just can't do it all at the same time. I think I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Commitment is freeing. Commitment makes it so when you wake up in the morning, you know exactly what to do. Or if it's a side project, When you finish work and you come home, you know exactly what to do. On the weekend, you know exactly what to do. When you have time off, you know exactly what to do. So if there's a project that's important to you, commit to this one thing and tell me what it is that you can get rid of. Okay, you can actually tell me now. What are you going to remove from your calendar? What can you put on the ice? What can you postpone? Are you going to like 3 different classes per week? Are you expecting yourself to go to the gym, to go to the painting class, to read that book, watch that series, work on that project? That's too much. You've got to choose what's important to you. So, what are you going to put aside for now? It's just for now. And I can hear some of you going, but Marie, everything's important, everything's equal. No, that doesn't work. Doesn't work. Choose your one thing and make it interesting. Okay? Tough love. And another way to simplify the hell out of your life is to realize that there's 3 different people inside your brain. And that's a concept I took from the book, The E-Myth by Michael E. Gerber. It's a business book. You don't have to go read it, but I'm just going to give you this concept that I think is really useful. So we have these 3 people inside our mind. The first one is the visionary. That's the part of you that's the dreamer, that had the idea for that project in the first place. The part of you that's like, oh my God, yes. Yes, I'm going to do that and it's going to be amazing. Then there's the manager. The manager is the person that's going to plan time in your schedule to make it happen. And then there's the executor. And the executor is the person that's going to sit down when you've planned time and get shit done. And you have to keep them separate. Otherwise, that's when it gets really confusing. Okay? 1, have moments for the visionary to let loose and to have all of its ideas. Like go on retreats or have vision parties or like keep a notebook where you write down all of your ideas. Now, don't let the manager interfere and tell you, oh, well, this is not really realistic, is it? Or we won't have time to do that. No, let your visionary be, okay? Just let it dream big dreams. Then have moments for the manager to do its job. Have moments where you plan your ideas into your schedule. So you sit down every quarter or on Sunday evening or Monday morning, and then you look at when you are going to spend time on that. What are you going to do when? That's when you break the ideas down into steps and then you put them on your calendar. I have a very specific method that I teach my students in Brave and Bold for this in the very first month. So if you need help prioritizing your projects into your calendar, join Brave and Bold and you can learn how to do that there. Then there's the executor. So when it comes the time to sit down at your desk and work on the task, you focus on that task. That's not time to let the visionary come in and think about all the other ideas that you have and how much more fun they would be. No, the visionary has its time to dream. Now you're the executor, and you know as the executor that it's not always going to be exciting, but you know why you're doing this, and that's why you are willing to sit down and treat your time blocks like doctor appointments. That means someone calls you first, well, your phone shouldn't even be in the same room. If you keep your phone next to you, maybe it means that this project is not that important. So put it away and treat this period of time like a doctor appointment. So you don't answer calls. You cannot reschedule unless you have something really important going on. Be serious about it. If you're serious about your project, you've got to be serious about each and every step of it. And talk to yourself more than you listen to yourself. So when you sit down to do the work, there will be voices in your mind telling you about how interesting this other thing would be, how much more fun you would be having if you were playing video games instead. If you were chilling on the sofa instead. Okay, this is just normal. This is just your brain doing its normal thing. So talk to yourself instead of listening to everything your brain is saying. Be a patient parent with your brain. Tell your brain, I know this is hard. I know, but that's what we're doing right now. If you have a kid that doesn't want to go to school because they would rather keep playing Lego, you don't just give in to their whims. You say, I know you want to play Lego. We're going to make sure we do. We're going to do tonight, actually. It's going to be super fun. But right now, we're going to get to school, okay? Don't yell at yourself. Don't tell yourself, get out the door now. Stop being a spoiled brat. That doesn't help. Be a patient, loving parent. And also know yourself and what you need. Don't force yourself into a structure if it doesn't work for you. One of my clients has ADHD, and they were saying that the structure I suggested to them doesn't work for them. They need more flexibility. So I said, perfect. You don't have to listen to me. Do what works best for you. If you know yourself so well that you know this kind of flexibility, this kind of schedule makes you thrive, then go for it. You are your own best authority, and I would never pretend that I know better what's good, what's best for you. Okay, I make suggestions, you take what works for you, and you leave the rest. If you know that you're not a morning person, if you know that you need to spend time in nature, then plan accordingly. Don't try to force a square peg into a round hole. So that was number 1. Simplify your life by knowing what it is that you are focusing on. I had a coach who got us to ask ourselves the question in our journal every day, what's the dream I'm working on today? What am I working on today? And it doesn't mean you're not going to do other things. You might go to work, you might go get your groceries, but what's my one priority today? And remember, there's 3 people inside your mind, the visionary, the manager, the executor. You want to keep them separate, and you want to make sure they all have airtime. If you only have the visionary and the executor, you're going to be all confused, okay? Got to give your manager a job. If you only have the manager and the executor, you're going to get shit done, but you're not going to be excited about it. It's not going to feel dreamlike. And if you only have the manager and the visionary, you're going to be an expert planner. I have clients like this, really good at planning. They don't get much done in the beginning because they haven't learned to sit down and do the thing. So the visionary, the manager, the executor, they all have an important role, and you need to practice and improve in those 3 areas. So tell yourself, which one of these is more challenging for you? Which one of your employees do you need to train for the team to work well together? And maybe there's one of them that's always intruding on the work of another one. Make sure they know what their job is and keep them separate. They can talk, but they cannot sit next to each other when one of them is doing its job. Okay, I think you get the gist now. Number 2, understand that it's not always going to be exciting. Okay, you want to stay focused on your projects, but you've got to know that it's not always going to feel that way. And that's okay. It's just like in the book Pacific Crest Trials, Zach Davis, he tells us about how when we start through hiking, we should expect and plan for the end of the honeymoon. Otherwise, that's just careless. Same thing in a relationship. You know when you fall in love with someone and you have butterflies and everything's amazing. If you're an adult, you probably know that it's not always going to be this way. So it's the same thing with projects. Okay, I'm going to give you a bunch of examples. Let's say you're working on a design project. I know I was many times It happened where I thought at the beginning, oh my God, this is going to look so good. This idea is amazing. My portfolio is going to be so strong with that piece in it. But then the client wants it to look a certain way, to be a bit different, to change that, remove that color. And it starts looking less and less like what you had envisioned at the start. And you lose steam. You lose your excitement because it doesn't look as good as it used to. Let's say you're writing a book. Oh my God, I have an amazing idea. My book is going to be so good. It's going to be turned into a movie. I'm probably going to meet Oprah. I'm probably actually going to tour the world and be on the New York Times bestseller, and my book's going to be translated in 15 languages. You know how we can get excited. But life is not so romantic when you're on chapter 2 trying to a paragraph and you've been on the same sentence for 3 hours. Or let's say you have an idea for an event and you picture how beautiful the space is going to be, and you have a perfect lineup for musicians or for speakers. And then you start organizing and someone says, no, I'm not going to be there. Or something costs more than you had imagined. And then it starts turning into a mindfuck. So you lose your excitement. Or you start a business and you think, oh my God, you leave your job, you start a business, my life is going to be so awesome, my product is going to help so many people. You spend a lot of money on developing your product, and then the sales are slow. You think, why did I get into this? Or you're hiking through Oregon and you think, what am I doing here? Why am I hiking every day? And one last example, when I had the coffee truck. I had a coffee truck when I lived in London. It was a super cute Italian van. It was blue. It was called Dungarees Coffee. We had cute marketing. It sounded like we lived in a movie, like on paper. When I told people, I have a coffee truck and we go to music festivals and markets, people go, oh, wow, that sounds amazing. But it doesn't sound that amazing when you have to wake up at 5 a.m. to fill up the tank. And then you go to a festival and it rains and you have almost no customers. Okay, where we're so good at creating romantic ideas in our minds and then being disappointed when the reality doesn't match what we had envisioned. So, before you start a project, ask yourself, how committed am I? Are you starting it just for the romantic idea of it? Or because you truly want to experience the journey? The whole journey. Are you ready to pay the cost? Are you ready to experience discomfort? Are you ready to grow through the challenges? When you've been with someone for a long time and you no longer see them in your soup and think about them all the time and get giddy when they text you, do you just break up the relationship? Or do you work on it? Grow from it. Find ways to be more intentional, to make it exciting again. There's a thing called the dip. Don't know if he's the creator, but Seth Godin wrote a little book. Talks about how there's always a moment in a project where you fall into the dip, where it's just boring and hard. And that's where most people quit, because they're not willing to go through the struggle. So ask yourself, am I willing to go through the struggle? Do I have my eyes wide open about the reality of this? Or do I imagine it's going to be a unicorn dream? Let go of the idea that things should feel exciting or inspiring all the time. We don't live in a romantic comedy. We don't live in a novel. There are parts of our life that would never make it into a story because they're just boring. But what you learn from them, what you learn when you go through these periods is what's amazing and what makes it in the story. That's it for number 2. Understand that it's not always going to be exciting, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it. It's worth it to go through the struggle and see what's on the other side. Number 3, strengthen your belief that it can work. That's another thing that I see happening a lot is You start your project, you move through it, you're excited, everything's going well, and then suddenly you start feeling so much resistance. So you think, oh, I guess I need more rest, or I need to have smaller, more manageable steps. You get stuck trying to take better action or to act differently, and it still doesn't work, and you get frustrated. When the true truth is that no matter what you do, what's creating the resistance is way underneath. It's hidden in the belief you have in yourself and in this project. If you've caught the self-doubt bug, if you used to believe that yes, this could be a success, this could work, and then you heard something or someone told you something and you started doubting, you planted the seed of doubt, now it's growing inside of you. And you think, actually, maybe it was not that good of an idea. Actually, it's probably not going to work. I was probably unrealistic. And that happens in the back of your mind. And it fills your mind, that plant of self-doubt fills your mind and creates that resistance. It might show up as a headache or actual exhaustion or confusion that makes you sleepy. But it doesn't necessarily mean you need more sleep. It often means you need more belief. That's when you need to reconnect with your magical sense of possibility. What if it did work? What would that look like? What would I do? What if this person was completely wrong? What if I surprised myself and surprised everyone else? What if I was the first person to achieve that? What would that feel like? What if I was so good at this? What if I ended up being amazing? You do not have any proof that your project is going to work, probably, because you've never done it before. And I know that feels awful, but you need to step into your role as the creator of the proof. And you need to believe without proof and realize that you are building the proof yourself. And the voice that says, what if you're not good enough though? What if you fail miserably? Reply to that voice. Thanks for wanting to protect me. Seriously, that's so nice of you. But this is just a quest to make the game that is my life more fun. If I give my all, I will have gotten a lot further than if I had not tried. So, thank you for your insight. Hop into my backpack. We're going there anyway. And even if the book is bad, you've written a book. That's a lot more than many people can say. And even if you cannot hike for more than 2 days, you have hiked for 2 days. And you will have learned something from that. And even if your business fails, who cares if people look down on you? You have tried your best. That's what matters. Even if you get bad reviews, you still have people who love you. You still have a bed to sleep in. You still have a roof over your head. You don't have to make it mean anything about who you are as a human being. Writing a bad book, failing a test, giving up on a hike. It doesn't have to mean anything bad about you as a human being. You choose what you make it mean. And if I were you, I would choose to make it mean that you're a freaking badass for trying. And the thing is, you might not even fail. You might succeed. You might surprise yourself and think, I never thought I could achieve that. That's what happened to me with the PCT. Never thought I could through hike. I thought it was a ridiculous idea. I was the kid that got the ball in the face in gym class. But I did do it. I had to power through the struggle. I had to first believe it might be possible, then try, and then power through many awful days in order to, oh my God, surprise myself. But if I decided ahead of time that I might fail, and that would mean something awful and embarrassing about me, I would never have discovered what I was capable of. So be careful what you make it mean about yourself. Choose wisely. Okay? So that was number 3. Whew, I got heated. Strengthen your belief that it can work. That it might work. So let's summarize. If you want to stay focused on an idea that excites you, simplify the hell out of your life. Then understand that it's not always going to be exciting. It's going to suck sometimes. That's fine. That's part of life. That's going to be worth it. And number 3, strengthen your belief that it might actually work. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Please get in touch. Let me know. I poured so much love into this one. I hope I managed to reach your heart. You can find me on Instagram at Self-Growth Nerds. Send me a DM. Tell me, oh my God, Marie, the tough love. Thank you. And join us in Brave and Bold. Brave and Bold is my 6-month coaching program, and it's freaking amazing. Lots of nature lovers and creative nerds who have amazing ideas in there. And they are all like you. They find it hard to stick through it sometimes. But we help each other out. There's a structure, there's a course structure to follow. There's coaching calls every week to make sure that you're pursuing your dreams and not giving up on what matters to you. And it is important to be surrounded by other people who are not going to let you give up. Other people who are going to be like, no, this is bullshit. Call you on your bullshit. I know this is important to you. You can do it. Don't give up now. Keep going. Okay? That's what I'm here for. That's what the other members of Brave and Bold are there for. You get immersed in this space for 6 months of dreamers who do not want to settle for the ordinary. They want to make their life extraordinary. And that's possible. And that doesn't mean happy all the time, but it means you're going on a freaking exciting ride. You're growing. Going after a meaningful pursuit. That's the kind of life I want to lead, and if you want to join us, you're more than welcomed. So just get in touch with me on Instagram at Self-Growth Nerds. I hope to meet you. I have shivers talking about that. All right, that's it for this week. Have a beautiful week and Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. I love you all. Bye-bye. You just listened to the Self-Growth Nerds podcast. Make sure to subscribe and to find me on Instagram at Self-Growth Nerds. If you want individual help developing the confidence to create a more meaningful and exciting life, visit selfgrowthnerds.com today to learn how. Finally, I want to thank my friend Etienne Galano for editing this, and I want to thank you, kind-hearted souls, for growing into your truest, most courageous selves every day and making this world a better, more beautiful place. My name is Marie, and I will talk to you next week.